What is up, everybody? My name is Justin. This is Forever Self-Employed. In today's video, we are going to be talking about how many jobs I was able to land with $560 of ad spend on Nextdoor. We're also going to be talking about the pros and cons of Nextdoor, whether or not I'm going to be using it as a marketing source in the future, and whether or not I think you guys should be using it as well. So we're going to get into that in today's video. Before we get into that, though, I do want to let you guys know that the Inner Circle is going to be closing. It's going to be closing within the next 2 days. If you guys don't know what the Inner Circle is, check out the first link in the comment section and the description. But it's essentially a closed coaching group where we do bi-weekly calls with myself, Mike Vidan from All About Pressure Washing, and Aaron from Aaron's Lean Academy. We have free courses in there. You get access to other six-figure earners within the industry, as well as you get all your questions answered about anything. It's a great group. Everybody's super positive in there. Everyone boosts each other up. It's accountability. It's everything. So check it out. First link in the comment section and the description. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and hop into today's video. So how many jobs did we land with $560 in ads? We landed 5 jobs off of this, and I'm going to get into the pros and cons here. I will say right off the bat that a lot of these jobs were very small jobs. We got called out for like this chimney cleaning. We got called out for like a small patio cleaning. So each of these times, those were only $200 occurrences because we do have a minimum pricing of at least $200 to go out and do a job. So I will say that for whatever reason, all the jobs off of Nextdoor, for the most part, were small jobs. Now we did have a couple big jobs, but all in all, we made $1,350 off of the work that we did from the jobs off of Nextdoor. Now, one of the neighborhoods that we were able to get into, one of the neighbors came and they asked us for a quote. They accepted the quote, so we did land an additional $800, and we were able to land this because of the jobs off of Nextdoor. So I'm going to count it within the profit of the ad spend. So $2,150 in jobs total, and the total profit minus the ad spend was $1,590 of profit, essentially, from the ads. So with that being said, let's go and talk about the pros and cons of advertising on Nextdoor. Now, bear in mind, this was in November and a little bit into the December, so it wasn't the slower times of the year. Now, I'll probably run this experiment again in the spring, and if you guys want to see that, definitely leave a thumbs up on the video and see how these numbers differ whenever there's more of a demand for pressure washing and things of that nature, because right now, people aren't as worried about it. But pros of marketing on Nextdoor, first and foremost, there's a limited number of service providers that can sponsor a specific zip code. So as opposed to Facebook and Google, it's basically anybody can run ads, anybody can get their ad in front of people. However, on Nextdoor, they have set a limited number of service providers that can sponsor specific zip codes. So this does help to create less competition than what you would have like on Facebook and Google. So that's one of the pros. Another one is this way of targeting actually got us into some more affluent neighborhoods. It did get us into some neighborhoods that we were not able to get in before, one of which an LSU coach had lived in this neighborhood, and it's basically all million dollar homes, right? So for whatever reason, Nextdoor helped us to get into that neighborhood, and this $800 job was a job that we landed by being in that neighborhood. So it does help you to get your foot in the door with other places. Also, everybody on Nextdoor has to verify their address, so the leads on there are a little bit more quality than on Facebook. Like, you have to think, for somebody to be on Nextdoor, they have to request access within the app. The app then sends them a piece of mail. They then have to grab the mail, verify the number, and then there's just a lot of steps in place as opposed to Facebook, where anybody can create a Facebook profile. So when you're marketing on Nextdoor, you know that they're going in front of homeowners, or at least people that live in those zip codes, because really that's most of the people on Nextdoor are homeowners that live within those certain zip codes. So they are a little bit better quality than some of the people on Facebook. The last pro that I have is there was very low cost per impression, right? Like on Facebook or Google, where there's a lot more competition for the people on there. Since Nextdoor has only limited amount of sponsorships, you will get a lot more impressions for a lot less money. So that's another benefit. However, let's go ahead and get into the cons with the benefits out of the way. So one of the cons is almost all the jobs are small. We talked about that earlier. It is what it is. Could be the time of the year. Could be a couple different things. I'm not sure. But the good thing about doing small jobs is it gets your foot in the door with customers. It got us a couple of referrals as well that we can then leverage within the next year, the next 2 years. We can continue having those relationships with these customers. Whether or not the job was small doesn't make any difference to what it's going to pay in the future. So the other con is Nextdoor's platform isn't very user-friendly, so it's kind of hard to communicate on the app I would notice that messages would come in and I wasn't notified by Nextdoor. Also, in order to get to your business page on the Nextdoor app, you have to go you have to click on the profiles, you got to go to the business page, you got to click something else, and then you got to go to the inbox to see if you have any messages. Also, on my ads, I wasn't being notified that I was getting comments on the ads, so I was responding 3, 4, 5 days later on comments where people were inquiring about certain pricing or getting a quote. So that's one of the other negatives to Nextdoor. Like on Facebook, I never have a problem with it because it alerts me immediately. Maybe it's something that I'm doing wrong within the settings. I just found that the platform isn't as user-friendly for businesses as what Facebook is. Another con is auto renew on the ad, right? So I was not going to spend $560 on this ad. I was only going to spend $280. I wanted to run this ad for a month, the month of November. I actually started running a little bit into October and then into November. However, once that month ended, it auto renewed me into another payment. So it hit me with $280 twice. That's why I paid $560 and not just $280, because these numbers would have actually been a little bit better had we only paid $280. So that's another problem. If you guys do run ads on Nextdoor, be sure to say that you only want to run it for 1 month. It was just a little bit weird with how they had you pick the parameters on the payment terms. So just be aware that if you're sponsoring a zip code and you do not unsponsor it, it will auto renew and it will charge you again. Another con is the best zip codes are the most expensive, which it is what it is, right? However, if you're marketing on Facebook and Google, all exposure pretty much costs the same. You know what I mean? Dependent. I mean, obviously you get higher cost per clicks in certain areas, but for the most part, whenever you pick a location, everybody is the same like cost per click essentially, or the same amount to get an exposure in front of them. However, it's pay to play, right? So if you want to get in front of the best zip codes, you're gonna have to pay the most amount of money. So it is what it is. It was nice from the sense that we could get into neighborhoods that we hadn't gotten in before. The last con that I have is less people are on the app than what's on Facebook. Is what it is. Like I said, they are higher quality, so it's kind of a trade-off. Less people, higher quality. Also, less cost per impression is also another plus. So will I be marketing on Nextdoor again? I will. I'm going to run this experiment again probably come the spring whenever pressure washing is a little bit more prevalent. Once we get into December, November time, people are kind of worried about the holidays. You got Thanksgiving, you got Christmas, you got New Year's. So the holidays are more so on people's minds. So I try not to start or try new marketing endeavors during the holidays. However, once the springtime rolls around, we'll run this again. I'll let you guys know how it does. But anyway, if you made it this far in the video, comment down below Nextdoor and I'll hashtag you a real one. My name is Justin. This is Forever Self-Employed. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, hustle hard and get that money, baby. Peace.